Claire Hanna alongside Bruce Garrioch from Post Media. And today we're not talking about the fact that the Ottawa Senators are in third place in the Atlantic Division in a playoff position. We're also not talking about the fact that some of their big forwards have got the monkey off their back in the scoring department. We are talking about the Ottawa Senators mascot, Spartacat. Because yesterday, owner Michael Andlauer was in Quebec City announcing that the Senators will be having part of their training camp next season, as well as 2 preseason games in Quebec City. And on Twitter, the Senators put out this photo of Spartacat in a spliced Quebec Nordiques jersey with the Senators jersey, and it's created a bit of a firestorm. Now, Bruce, in your opinion, why are Ottawa Senators fans quite angry and sensitive about this topic?
Well, that roar we heard from on Monday didn't come from the Canadian Tire Centre, Claire. It came from fans of the Ottawa Senators when they saw the mascot wearing a half Senators, half Nordiques jersey. I was shocked at the outrage that had happened. Look, I didn't think it would go over well when I saw the photo, but I think what opened this can of worms, quite frankly, Claire, was Michael Andlauer suggesting that the Senators might play some regular season games in Quebec City. I think up until then it was fine, but then to put the icing on the cake by putting poor old Spartacat with that jersey on social media, it was deleted last night. They had to apologize for it. I am shocked that we're sitting here talking about a furry animal wearing a jersey, but this is what it's become.
Let's dig into it a little bit, because there's some history with this organization, and I think people were sensitive of the fact that there were possibly regular season games in Quebec because of, in the past, there's been a threat that possibly this organization might move the franchise to another city. Is that part of where this sensitivity is coming from?
Well, look, I think under the former ownership, that possibility was always held over the heads of fans here. And I think people always thought that that could happen. And after Eugene Melnick's untimely passing in 2022, there was talk that the Senators were preparing at that point to play 5 regular season games in Quebec City. Why? Because the former owner felt that he could make more money in Quebec City than he could if he held those games here. I think that what happened with Michael Andlauer was triggered something that had happened here in the past. That talk went away as soon as word leaked out that it was going to happen. And I think Michael Andlauer is trying to do the people of Quebec City a solid yesterday by not only trying to get some interest in his team in that marketplace, but I also think he was trying to give them a little assist in maybe getting their National Hockey League team back, because he's always been a proponent of that, but it backfired, and it backfired in a big way.
Now, Thomas Chabot was also in Quebec City. He spoke today, and he spoke rather passionately, and he mentioned the fact that his father was a Quebec Nordiques fan, and when Quebec City lost that team, well, his dad was never going to become a fan of the Montreal Canadiens. Now, of course, his dad is a fan of the Ottawa Senators because Thomas plays for this team, but when you heard Thomas speak about that, did it give you some empathy, potentially, for what Michael Andlauer was trying to achieve?
It did, because, Thomas Chabot talked to somebody who grew up in Quebec City. His dad was a fan of the Quebec Nordiques, and in the way he spoke about Spartacat wearing that jersey and how much his dad loved that logo. That being said, I don't think Michael Andlauer knew the can of worms that he was opening when he mentioned the mere possibility of regular season games in Quebec City. People don't want regular season games in Quebec City. They want regular season games here at the Canadian Tire Centre, and they want 41 of them. They've never loved the fact that the Senators have gone to Sweden to play regular season games. I think they look at that as a legitimate threat. I don't think Michael Andlauer has made any missteps in his time as owner of the Senators, but he made one yesterday. And I think that the people around him should have known better. And they should have known better when they put Spartacat in a half Senators, half Quebec Nordiques jersey. There's something sacred about that logo. When we go in that dressing room, Claire, they cover the logo with a carpet because they don't want us stepping on it. Yesterday, they stepped on the logo themselves. And I think there needs to be some serious discussions amongst their marketing people as to who came up with that idea.
So moving forward now, what kind of an impact do you think this has on the future possibility of regular season games, even more exhibition games or preseason games in Quebec?
Well, I don't think we'll ever see the Ottawa Senators play a regular season game in Quebec City. I don't think we'll see anything now beyond what we're going to witness in the fall, and that's a couple of preseason games. You know, they did this because it's a TV market for them. RDS, TSN go into that market. They are in Eastern Canada. You know, the Senators games are in Eastern Canada, and that's one of the big reasons why TSN and RDS signed a deal with the Senators 10 years ago to get their regional rights, was because it's a large market. And, you know, I heard Cyril Leader saying yesterday that that's their second highest TV market. So, yeah, they want to sell the brand in Quebec City. And I get that. And they were doing a very good job until they didn't.
Well, for the Ottawa Senators, there's supposed to be a quiet 3 days off in between games. They are third in the Atlantic Division. They'll be back in action on Thursday against the Washington Capitals.